I'm a partner in the litigation department at Bennett Jones in Calgary. I specialize in fraud litigation and securities litigation. I came into that practice in the traditional way of random accident, as it turns out. I was in my office one day when a senior partner came by and asked me to get a very routine, simple application in order to serve someone. Got that order, and then he asked me to take the next step and the next step. And originally they were all unopposed applications, but eventually we had a litigant on the other side who was a extremely feisty litigant. If he could have litigated whether the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, we would have gone to court on that. And so that went around and around for a few years. And by the time that 3 years was done, I had done a whole lot of asset freezing and fraud recovery and a whole bunch of securities litigation. And then I became one of the go-to people in the office, and it's just developed from there. The qualities that I bring to the table and to our clients, I think, are that I tend to be pretty calm, pretty level-headed. Things can get very exciting in litigation, particularly with some of the fraud litigation I do. Things can get very personal. People take it very personally. The fights can get pretty nasty. I tend to be able to block that out and focus on what's really important to the client, the objectives for the client, and ignore the background noise. And I tend to be a preparer. I like to be over-prepared 2 months before the application or 2 weeks before the application, which I think in the end helps my clients. With one of my partners a few years ago, we had a file. It was a mortgage fraud file in Alberta, and it was a large file. We sued somewhere over 325 people who were defendants in the lawsuit. The statement of claim, the style of cause, went on for about 10 pages. And that whole file, start to finish, was nothing but teamwork. Whether it was the day we were going and getting Anton pillar orders and freezing assets, we had 5 of those going on simultaneously. So there was a tremendous team of people who were involved in that process. And then throughout the file, we were in court for the first year, 2 or 3 times a week at times, and we would trade off among the 2 or 3 of us as to who was doing what, and we'd pitch in wherever. And it was that literally could not do that file without a strong team to work with. I've benefited from a number of mentors at the firm over my time at the firm. Early on, when I was a brand new green associate, she's now one of my partners, but she was an associate. She had the office next door to me. She made what was probably a mistake in retrospect, but she made the offer to me that if I ever had a question, don't hesitate to pop in. And I was literally in her office probably twice a day for about the first 2 years. And to her credit, she never threw me out, even though she probably should have a few times. And ongoing since then, I've worked with a number of excellent practitioners who have very different styles, but the best ones are the ones who care the most about mentoring, who take the time to not just tell you this is what we should be doing on a file, but to try to explain this is how we should do, this is why we're doing what it is that we're doing. And that's something I've tried to pass along to other people as I've gone along. So I've been involved with an organization called Calgary Legal Guidance for about 10 years. It's a pro bono clinic in Calgary that aims to help people who are kind of caught in a bit of a hole in the justice system. They're not so poor that they qualify for legal aid, but they're not well enough off to actually afford a lawyer of their own. And started off volunteering in that clinic. They offer a service every weeknight, Monday through Thursday, where lawyers from the community volunteer their time and come in and give free legal advice to people, whether it's for 15 minutes at a time, for 30 minutes at a time. But they're people who, for them, any involvement with the legal system, the justice system, is an almost insurmountable burden on top of what they already have going on in their lives and what they're dealing with. And it's amazing how for us, what's 15 or 30 minutes of our time and what seems like a very simple problem can have such an impact on these people and can help them get so much more control over at least one aspect of their life.